Coming up, the Daily Iowan caught up with VP for Student Life, Melissa Shivers. We've got Mackenzie Cooper in the newsroom to cover the wide range of topics she discussed.
And later, the state of Iowa received visits from California Senator Kamala Harris over the weekend as she prepares for the 2020 election.
Jeez, Marissa, did it just get ice cold in here again?
Actually, Declan, I think that was Jordan Bohannon. We'll tell you more in sports.
We had some roaring winds over the weekend. Find out where they're headed next in weather.
All that and more coming up on this Monday morning edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Susanna Kloster.
And I'm Noah Gowdy. Last week, the Daily Iowan sat down with Melissa Shivers, the Vice President for Student Life, to talk about a variety of issues. We have DITV News reporter Mackenzie Cooper in the newsroom to tell us more. Good morning, Mackenzie.
Good morning, Noah. That's right. We discussed a wide array of subjects ranging from student life to new administration positions. Last week, Shivers told us that the university has been doing late-night programming for about the past decade, and this helps students find an alternative to drinking. She discussed how this not only helps students get more involved, but also leads to higher graduation rates.
And so as many ways as we can try to connect with those students that may not be sort of the students that are the most involved, but those students who are just looking for ways to get involved in ways that are easier and more accessible for them, those are a very important student population that we also want to try to connect with. And if late night programming is one of the ways that we're able to do that, I believe that our role in helping to assist with retention and persistence toward graduation through this type of very focused programming is great for us.
Shivers also responded to the latest news regarding the UISG First Gen Summit after student body president Hira Mustafa vetoed the funding bill that the UISG Senate had approved.
I also think that Hira and UISG have a very challenging job in making sure that they are thoughtful and intentional about the ways that resources are used. And I feel very confident that they will be able to find a middle ground so that the program, the First Gen Summit, can continue and will be successful, I believe, for many years to come.
Lastly, Shivers touched on the process of choosing the new Dean of Students and Chief Diversity Officer.
So that process is moving quickly, much quicker than I anticipated it would, which is exciting, I think, for the campus community for sure, but certainly for the departments that will have an opportunity to work with the person who will come into the role.
To read more about our conversation, be sure to visit dailyiowan.com. Noah and Susanna, back to you.
California Senator Kamala Harris toured Iowa this weekend in hopes of rallying support before the 2020 presidential election. Harris visited Iowa shortly after announcing her candidacy in January, but returned to speak at smaller events in the area. She spoke confidently about her position in the upcoming election. Harris focused much of her time in Iowa.
I fully intend to win, but the gauge of the success of this campaign, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be more than that. It will be that at the end of this process, we will be relevant.
Harris focused much of her time in Iowa talking about diversity. In Des Moines, she met and spoke with both the Asian and Latino Coalition and the League of United of Latin American Citizens. She spoke passionately about issues faced by African American mothers and the Iowa Democratic Party's Black Caucus.
Black women die at 3 to 4 times the rate of other women in connection with childbirth. And when you look at the issue, you don't have to look very deeply. You don't have to look very hard to see that it affects black women regardless of their economic standing and regardless of their educational level. And what it comes down to is a very simple matter, and let's speak this uncomfortable truth: their race. And the fact that when black women walk into a hospital or a doctor's office, they are not taken as seriously when they describe their health condition or their needs.
Harris wrapped up her state tour yesterday after weather conflicts.
Now, Susanna, I'm glad that she was able to wrap up her tour because a lot of Iowa was getting hit by snow yesterday.
Yeah, but luckily we only had rain and some pretty heavy wind.
Yeah, that's true, and it got a little bit cold here in Iowa City, but let's toss it over to Dylan in the weather studio to find out more. Dylan?
Thanks, Noah and Susanna. Yes, about those winds. They started right over here in the Midwest area, and they are shifting quickly up to the northeast. This morning at around 10 a.m. Eastern time, areas of Boston and Buffalo are getting over 50 miles per hour of wind. Now, as a result of these winds, over 500 flights were delayed and 600,000 people lost power in their homes due to these roaring winds that are racing through America. Now, as we look into the forecast here in Iowa City today, we actually have not as strong winds as up there in the northeast. We have a temperature of 5 degrees, and due to the slight winds that we do have, the feels like temperature is roughly 7 below zero. We also have partly cloudy skies this morning. Now, as we move into tonight, we have the winds die down a bit. Our temperature rises to 11 degrees, and we have cloudy skies as we move into tonight. So it should be a fairly nice evening without those winds like this weekend. Now, as we move into the extended 5-day forecast for the week, like I mentioned today, our high gets up to 15 degrees throughout the day, and we have a low of about 3 degrees we had early this morning, and we had partly cloudy skies. Now, tomorrow we have a very low % chance of snow, with only 20% chance of snow coming throughout the day. We have cloudy skies and a temperature of 21 degrees and a low of 21 and a high of 22. Now, as we move into Wednesday, we have cloudy skies with our high at around 24 degrees and a low of 8. Finally, on Thursday, we have a 30% chance of snow in the morning, with our high getting up to around 22 degrees, and again, another low of 8 degrees. Finally, on Friday, we have 40% chance of snow in the morning again, with our high getting up to 27. So our hottest temperature of the week coming on Friday, and a low of 5 degrees. Well, as you can see, we got some snow coming in the back half of our week, but the temperatures look pretty nice as we go throughout the week. Noah and Susanna, back to you guys at the desk.
A new database has been brought to the University of Iowa. Pivot is a program that provides researchers with information for billions of dollars worth of funding, opportunities, and a system that matches people with similar research interests. Students, staff, and faculty can connect to Pivot using their university email or university computer. The UI Research Development Office Director Aaron Klein praised Pivot's ability to show countless opportunities focused around a certain research field. UI Associate University Librarian Paul Sotterdale said Pivot is not only part of a package UI Libraries is developing to preserve research the university facility publishes. Sotterdale said, quote, "I think something this is all trying to do is elevate the profile of the research that's happening already at the university, making it more visible to funders, the other researchers, and the general public," end quote. To read more about the program, visit dailyiowan.com.
Kent Park Lane has been under construction lately due to planned renovations. The decision to renew the park came after the park fell short of the DNR's safe water standards. People won't have to wait much longer to return to the park, though. Even Iowa City has been experiencing a long winter. Construction is still on track to end in the spring. Johnson County Board of Supervisors Chair Lisa Green Douglas hasn't let the weather slow things down, stating, quote, "Though there have been some delays along the way due to the extreme weather and other factors, the project is moving along nicely. I'm excited to see the project finished," end quote. The park is entering the final phase of construction and should be open sometime before April 1st.
Noah, Carver was pretty busy this weekend.
Yeah, we had both men's basketball and wrestling in action, and it got very exciting.
Yeah, let's toss it over to Declan and Marissa in the sports studio to find out what happened.
Men's basketball was exciting indeed.
Iowa took on Indiana Friday night in Carver, and in true Iowa fashion, this game came down to the final minutes and Jordan Bohannon.
Marissa, not only did it come down to the final minutes, but they needed extra time in this one, thanks to a three right here by Jordan Bohannon to help Iowa bridge that late gap and send this game to overtime.
Jordan Bohannon scored 12 out of Iowa's final 15 points, just like this ice-cold dagger three to help seal a 76-70 overtime victory against Indiana.
My grandma texts me after all the close ones and says, you guys need to win by more because she's got a speedy heart and she doesn't like those. So they're fun for us and not so much fun for grandma.
There's only so many late game situations we can go through before I feel like my brain's about to explode, but no, we've been playing them really well. We've been running good sets, getting the ball in the right hands towards the end of the game, and not making a lot of mistakes. So that's key to making things happen late game.
I think we'd rather take care of business early so we don't stress too much.
Now I'm guessing after Friday's game against and Iowa in Assembly Hall 2 weeks ago, Jordan Bohannon is definitely the most hated man in Bloomington, but he's certainly loved in Iowa City.
DITV sports reporter Zach Lohman has more on one of the clutchest players in Iowa basketball history.
Hawkeye fans don't have to travel all the way to Oracle Arena to see Steph Curry play. All they have to do is go to Carver Hawkeye Arena.
When we signed him, I said, he's a lot like Steph. And what I meant was, he has that quick trigger. Steph Curry just pulls right in your face, and that's what Jordan does. And everybody's like, no, what are you talking about? He's not like Steph. I mean, but he kind of is, with those shots and his ability to make those shots.
I think it's a pretty obvious comparison. I mean, they shoot from, their houses basically. So, they make big time shots. So I think it's a fair comparison.
There's a video of Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. Steph Curry was having a bad game. I always look to this. It's kind of funny because Steph Curry was having a bad game, and Steve Kerr came over to him and he said, "Look at the box score. You're plus minus." He was like plus 20 or something. He's like, "You might not be making things happen that are showing up in the stat sheet, but when you're on the floor, the team's flowing really well." So that's something I've always looked to.
Hopefully Jordan Bohannon and the Hawkeyes will be able to bring home some championships, just like the Golden State Warriors. Reporting from Carver Hawkeye Arena, this has been Zachary Lohman with Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Now, there was no question that Iowa fans were very happy after that Indiana game, thanks to Jordan Bohannon.
But it was a very different story before the game, as Iowa fans were very upset with the announcement that Gary Dolphin would be suspended for the rest of the basketball season.
We have DITV Sports Director Lucy Rodin standing by in Carver with more on the Dolphin controversy. Lucy?
That's right. Iowa radio broadcaster Gary Dolphin normally sits here when he calls Iowa basketball games, but he's done doing that for the rest of the season. It was announced on Friday by Learfield Sports and the university that Gary is finished calling basketball this season following these remarks he made about Maryland's Bruno Fernando.
That's some pretty good long-range shooting, and then Fernando was King Kong at the end of the game.
And obviously this decision has been met with a lot of controversy. We still haven't heard from Athletics Director Gary Barta on the matter, and all we really have is that official statement from Learfield. So Iowa fans, they're really upset with the way they thought the athletics department has handled this, and we're just going to have to wait and see what Gary Dolphin's future looks like from here on out. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Lucy.
And the women's tennis team fell just short in the Big Ten opener against Penn State.
The Hawks started strong, taking the double point after 2 matches. Freshman Samantha Mannix went into her bag of tricks for an impressive backhand swing, but fell short.
And finally, Sophie Clark won an intense match to tie things up 3-3, but the Hawks ended up falling short in the last match, losing 4-3.
A little bit of joy that we've got to find in difficulty, and we've got to have just a little bit more of a lightness about us when we have challenges. I think every match is hard, and we're not going to get anything easy, and when it does get hard, instead of kind of fighting that and being frustrated that it's hard, just kind of embracing that it's hard. And we're going to win matches and we're going to lose matches, but nevertheless, it's college tennis and you got to just enjoy this experience.
The wrestling team also fell short this weekend when they lost 27-12 at number 2 Oklahoma State.
Well, that's going to do it for us in the sports studio today. Come back tomorrow for an update on how the Iowa baseball team is doing.
Back to you at the desk.
Thank you for tuning in on this Monday morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news.
And if that's enough for you of the Daily Iowan, be sure to check out the print edition on newsstands now.
For DITV, I'm Noah Gowdy.
And I'm Susanna Kloster.